Hello everyone, Skippy here, and welcome to One Piece episode 996, directed by Yutaka Nakashima and supervised by Kazuya Hisada. After a week-long break, we're back to the raid on Onigashima with an episode that looks like a pretty good time all in all. With the usual vibrant nature of Nakashima's episodes turned up to 11 to make the episode look bombastic, and Kazuya Hisada's loose and angular art and animation looking probably the best it's ever been. Combined together, they look to make for an episode that truly looks like one to look forward to as we kick this raid into high gear after the moments of the last couple of episodes. So will episode 996 continue that train of quality as well? Let's declare war and find out. This episode covers the first 12 pages of chapter 987, and while following a lot of the original chapter almost beat for beat, there's a lot of added action throughout, mostly with Luffy versus Big Mom and Yamato versus Oldie, that helps get the pace down to a reasonable speed along with other added scenes of fighting and Nami securing Zeus, making it feel like the episode doesn't feel particularly sluggish, and any flashbacks aside from the ones towards the end of the episode that I will admit were kinda oddly placed, are taken from the pages of the manga, so it's at least just being accurate. And that's all fine and good, but something feels a bit off about Nakashima's execution of it all here to me when it comes to music placement and dialogue direction that makes it feel a bit weak at some points, and sometimes the episode can just feel more decent than anything else, and that's not a particularly bad thing considering the content, but I can't shake the feeling that it feels a bit phoned in, and my issues there mostly fall on the storyboard side of things, so we'll get to that. At the end of the day, it still does the regular Wano method to help the content feel more full despite the issues I may have, so that's what matters most I think, especially because it wasn't dreadful as this all-out war starts to rev up. While I feel like you can still see the casual vibrance that I usually mention a lot on Nakashima storyboards, to go back to what I said in the previous section, I can't help but feel that things feel a bit phoned in for Nakashima here than usual. While he's never been the absolute best with action, for some reason there's a bit of a lack of scale for a mostly action-based episode aside from the layouts that the animation staff produce, and the comedic scenes like the ones with Nami and Zeus feel a bit more standard in terms of stuff like ideas and colors, which also doesn't help the weird timing of it all within his board that I feel like he usually nails when it comes to comedic scenes like this. The board just feels like a going through the motions of sorts for him. And while there are still some cool ideas, I feel like it's not as much as there has been recently. And I can't help but feel that there was a different focus for him this episode, with him focusing more on the compositing and post-production aspects as there's lens flares and the like galore, rather than fine-tuning the board to be chock full of what he usually loves putting in. Never mind the weird placement of more slight Scabbards flashbacks towards the end, with Izo's being so awkwardly ham-fisted because he wasn't at the execution. I just feel like Nakashima could have done better even if he's a bit more conservative than some other directors on the show. He said on Twitter recently that he's going storyboard only for the time being, so maybe with his focus on those entirely rather than the directorial side of things he'll feel more comfortable, so we'll just have to wait and see. However, when the board feels a bit weaker, Kazuya Hisada's looser and dynamic layouts and art managed to make it feel a lot more extreme and well dynamic, along with a really sick and smeary scene from foreign animator Achiel, who some might know from his work on Boruto, that is literally a secondary animation lover's dream with all the hair and fabric animation. 996 gets enough of a pass for me. It's not an awful episode by any means, but it was a bit weaker than I expected from Nakashima. But yet I still found a lot to love in it despite those bouts of awkwardness that I feel like it gets off merely being pretty decent for me. But the start of the Onigashima raid doesn't stop at all as we run in headfirst to next week's episode 997, whose final product will be more telling of its overall quality. The preview itself doesn't show very much, so a lot of it is being left up to our imaginations, but with seasoned staff like Kenji Yokoyama and director Katsumi Tokoro, it should be a solid time and a good connecting piece for this week's episode if nothing else. Anyways guys, that's it for now. I'm Skippy, and thanks for that pure Robin smile, Ichikawa.